This is Storybook Radio.
Chapter 11. Phoenix paces back and forth in the corner of the coffee shop, the glow of his phone illuminating his tense features. The news coverage blares from the small screen, the reporter detailing the grotesque events at Wynn's grocery store. Notifications buzz incessantly, filling his mind with a chaotic loop of information and dread. Every detail points to the omniscient's growing audacity and the urgency to act. "He's not hiding anymore," Phoenix mutters to himself, his fingers tightening around the phone. He wants everyone to see. At a nearby table, Del finishes a call with Valerie, his expression grim as he pockets his phone. He approaches Phoenix cautiously, noting the fraying edges of his composure. "She'll meet us soon," Del says, his voice steady but tinged with concern. "We need a plan, Phoenix, something concrete." Phoenix stops pacing and faces Del, frustration etched into his face. "I know, but how? He's already steps ahead. I don't even know how I brought him into reality in the first place." Del places a hand on Phoenix's shoulder. "Then we start there. You manifested him once. You can do it again. This time with control." The words strike a chord in Phoenix. He takes a deep breath and nods, though doubt still lingers. "A weapon," he says, more to himself than to Del. "I need to create something to fight him. But how do I even begin?" Del's analytical mind springs into action. Think about the connection between your thoughts and his existence. What if he's projecting his will into your mind? If we can reverse that flow, you might be able to pull his own creations into reality. Phoenix's eyes widen as the idea takes root. So, if I focus on what he's thinking, I might be able to manifest something that can stop him? Del nods. "Exactly. But we need more information about how this connection works. Maybe something in Hapeville, his home, can give us answers. Books, journals, anything." Phoenix's resolve hardens. "Then we go back. If there's even a chance of finding a clue, we take it." As they discuss their next steps, the challenge of consciously entering the dream world arises. Phoenix recalls the fragmented memories of his earlier encounters with the omniscient, the elusive nature of the dreamscape. "Dreaming the same dream isn't exactly easy," he says. "How do I even start?" Del taps his chin thoughtfully. "There's a theory that observing something right before sleep increases the likelihood of dreaming about it. If you create a vivid image of the omniscient and his living room, it might anchor your subconscious." The plan takes shape as they return to Phoenix's house. In his small workspace, Phoenix sets up a drafting art table, methodically arranging his paints and brushes. The room hums with quiet intensity as he begins to work, his hands moving with precision born of desperation. He starts with the eyes, the piercing, almost predatory stare of the omniscient. Each stroke of the brush is deliberate, layering shades of black and gray to create an otherworldly depth. His hand shakes a little as he works on the irises, capturing their hypnotic pull, the way they seem to see through a person rather than at them. The texture is lifelike, almost too real, as if the painting is a portal rather than an image. From the eyes, Phoenix moves to the background. He paints the room in fragmented strokes, creating the calm ambiance of the omniscient's living room. Shadows creep along the walls, their edges blurred and indistinct, as though they might move when unobserved. The furniture, a worn leather armchair, a small table littered with arcane trinkets, comes to life under his brush. The faint glow of a single overhead light casts distorted reflections on the floor, adding to the room's unsettling symmetry. The painting consumes him. Phoenix barely notices the passage of time as he mixes colors, layering soft blues and muted reds to mimic the unnatural tones he'd seen in his fragmented visions. Each detail brings him closer to the dream, closer to the omniscient. His breathing quickens as he adds the final touches, a small crack in the corner of the room's ceiling, an imperfection that makes the scene all the more real. Del watches from a distance, sensing the weight of Phoenix's focus. "This has to work," Del murmurs, more to himself than to Phoenix. As the painting nears completion, Phoenix positions the drafting table at the foot of his bed. He sits on the edge of the mattress, staring into the painted eyes of the omniscient. The intensity of his gaze borders on obsessive as he wills himself to dream. The transition is seamless. One moment, Phoenix is staring at the painting. The next, he is spiraling through a vortex of swirling colors and sounds. The sensation is both disorienting and oddly familiar. When he lands, he finds himself standing in the Omniscient's living room. The atmosphere is oppressive, the air thick with an otherworldly stillness. Shadows stretch unnaturally across the walls, and the faint smell of decay lingers. The room is a distorted mirror of what Phoenix painted, familiar yet deeply unsettling. He begins his search, his movements cautious and deliberate. Every creak of the floorboards sends a shiver down his spine, but he pushes forward, driven by the hope of finding something, anything that can help. His eyes dart across the room, scanning shelves and surfaces. In a corner, a narrow staircase leads downward. Phoenix's instincts tell him to follow it. The descent is slow, each step groaning under his weight. The lower level is darker, the walls lined with bookshelves that seem to stretch endlessly into the shadows. His fingers trail along the spines of the books until they stop on a black leathered volume sandwiched between two tattered novels. Its title, etched in silver, reads, "This isn't a book." Curiosity outweighs caution as Phoenix pulls it from the shelf. Flipping through the pages, he finds most of them blank. Just as frustration begins to set in, a drawing catches his eye. A detailed depiction of a wooden black door. The intricacy of the image pulls him in, the lines almost pulsing with life. Compelled, Phoenix touches the crease of the page. The moment his fingers make contact, the world tilts violently. A rush of kinetic energy surges through him, and he is yanked forward, sucked into the book itself. The sensation is overwhelming, like being pulled through a hurricane. Behind him, the book falls to the floor with a thud, its cover snapping shut. Back in the waking world, Del sits by the drafting table, his eyes on the painting. The image of the Omniscient seems to shift under his gaze, the expression twisting into something mocking, almost alive. Del's unease grows as he leans closer, the sense of being watched prickling at the back of his neck. "Phoenix," he whispers, though he knows there will be no answer. The room feels colder, the painting's presence oppressive. Del's unease deepens, a gnawing fear taking hold, as he realizes they might have underestimated the Omniscient once again.